And that, my friends, is a sorry looking CV joint. Well, g'day guys, Ev here from Unseal 4x4, and today we're going to show you how to change an IFS CV joint in a Toyota HiLux. Now the first step, get yourself a new set of CV joints. I picked up a pair from Terrain Tamer. Next, you got to get the wheel off. Next step here is you need to knock this dust cover off so you can access the bolt that holds the CV joint in. Just hit that out now. There you go. So you need to pop that off. Okay, so once you've got the cover off, there's a little cotter pin in here, which you just pop out. So you pop that out and pop out this little retaining ring. And then you're going to need a 35mm socket to try and crack that. Now, I don't think my little cheapy impact gun's going to do the job, so if you can't use an impact gun or don't have one, you can put the wheel back on and drop it back on the ground, and that'll put pressure on so you can get a big breaker bar on and crack it. But let's see if we can get it off with the rattle gun. There you go, $100 rattle gun from Bunnings, sorted. Now you do need to torque that back up to about 265 Newton meters, and we'll do that at the end. On to the next step. Now just to help the CV out of the hub, what I like to do is get a bit of wood and a hammer. And that's just loosen that up, so that's a good little tip for you. Next, we're going to undo some other important parts like the steering arm and unbolt this lower control arm as well. Let's get into that. Okay, now on the steering arm, there's a cotter pin. Grab some pliers, bend that out of the way, just pull that out. There you go, it's like pulling teeth. Now don't reuse these, go and get yourself a new set. A couple of bucks from a hardware store or an auto shop. So there's your cotter pin pulled. Now I think it's a 19mm, hit that with the impact gun, drop the arm. Don't need many parts or tools for this job, and I think it's something that everyone should be able to do if you go and bush in an IFS full drive. 19mm. Now it's called a castle nut, and that cotter pin slides through that. I like to leave that back on the top a few threads and give the arm a little bit of a love tap and see if she comes out. That's necessary so you can swing the whole hub out of the way. So there you go, steering arm. Now you can tie this up with a cable tie or something so it's out of the way. I like to put the castle nut back on. You won't lose it that way. Next, what we've got to do, there's two bolts in the bottom here. It's a really good design by Toyota, so I need to pop those out. I think they're 19mm as well. I'll double check now. Yep, 19mm. So I'll give them a bit of a hit with the old ugga-dugga. They're pretty tight, but she does the job again. There you go, so two bolts at the bottom, 19mm, pop those out, and hopefully get this CV out. Tight. And we might need to drop this sway bar link as well. That's holding things up a bit, so safe. Alright, so a few swear words off screen there, but the sway bar pin is popped out. Bit of effort required there, but nothing a hammer can't sort out. And the hub is now free. So here we have our CV joint. Now, what you need to do is actually get inside the diff end and have something to lever that out with. So a chisel, flathead screwdriver, and just basically get that to separate because there is a split pin or a circlip, sorry, on that splined end of the CV joint, and you need to get that pressure off to pull the unit out. But you're nearly there. It's not that hard a job. So we're going to get the car up in the air a bit higher and see how we can attack that. You can see this bit's a bit of a mission. Next, what can we try next? Big guns, crowbar. treat. There we go. And that, my friends, is a sorry looking CV joint. Now let's put it back together and then do the other side. This out of the way with some cable ties. We've got the CV in, that work the treat. So having that circlip at the bottom, slide the tripod out a little bit and slide it in like that. You got a little slide hammer. That's seated now, so basically we've got new seals, new CV joints, time to reassemble, which should be pretty easy. We know what we're doing now, don't we? You guys are experts. So you see it's pretty dirty work. I probably should have some gloves on, but what we're doing now is getting this hub assembly back onto the splined end of this CV joint here. And that should all just go like that. It's not the lightest job, but okay, so just getting those splines lined up and making funny faces, I reckon. Cut, a bit of friendly persuasion might be required here. There you go. Now let's come through that end. We can start bolting the rest back together. Put the 35mm in here with its split pin. Bolts through the bottom here, which we'll do first. Sway bar linkage and steering arm. So there's not much to it, guys. You can do this on the side of the track and you should know how to. No excuses now. We've now finished putting everything back together basically. Now we just need to tighten everything up. I don't like tightening up things until it's all back together. So what have we got? 17mm up here on the sway bar. That's on. The same on the steering arm here with the castle nut just on loosely. And you got to put the cotter pin back through that, a new cotter pin. And then we've got 35mm nut here, which I need to torque up to 265 Newton meters. I've got a torque wrench here. I'll show you that in a second. And the two bolts down the bottom here holding the hub on. Alright, so while torquing up this last nut on the hub end, basically what I like to do is put the wheel back on, get the car back on the ground so you can torque it up to spec. So nothing tricky there. Especially handy if you've got a hoist like we do. You know, I haven't gone crazy just tightening that up. Just enough to put a bit of pressure on the tyre so it doesn't spin. Now we can torque that up, take the tyre back off, put the dust cover on, double check all the nuts and bolts, and you're good to go. Now before you finish up, I'm going to show you through all the key components, a bit of a close-up, so you understand all the terms that I've run through today. Alright, forward step. Put the dust cover back on. And you're done. So let's go grab the camera and take a closer look at all the little key components that I was telling you about, so you know exactly what to do if you have to change a HiLux CV joint, which you probably will. Lux life. There you go, it's not hard to see the difference between the old one with the split boot and the brand new one we're chucking in, the terrain tamer unit, which is fitted like a glove. It's important to mention though that there are two sizes, there's a left and a right, and that's governed by the size here. So basically the driver's side takes the bigger one, passenger side takes the smaller one, so make sure you get them on the right side. Okay, so let's go and take a look at what we needed to disconnect here. So this was the 17mm sway bar, and that needed an Allen key head in there, which was, yeah, 6mm unit. So that was a bit hard to crack, to be honest. Then coming over here is the steering. Underneath these two bolts here, they have to be cracked. So that's really about it. Obviously you've got the dust cover here, the 35mm nut there, and you can see the new CV joint. So there's not a lot to it, it's actually a fairly easy job. And we're all done now, so, well, that's a lie. I've got to do the other side, but I'll spare you the pain. So now you're an expert in changing CV joints in a Toyota HiLux.